and welcome to Stampin' Chat Live. I'm Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you coming in from all around the world. Tonight we're going to have some fun because we are going to be playing with layering stencils and a coordinating embossing folder. And these pieces came from our brand new 4th of July, Christmas in July. Very, very different. Christmas in July kit. And I'm really excited about this because I love when I get a new 3D embossing folder. Of course, I love the way it looks when it's embossed, but I always like to see what the stencils can do without embossing, and sometimes they leave a really cool modern graphic look, and this one is no exception. So I'm going to show you both ways, two fun ways to use it, and you can decide which you like better, or maybe you'll like both and you'll want to try some of each. But before we get started, back in the dead space, let's welcome him to the program. Hey, Tom.
Hey!
How are you?
Welcome, crafters. Hi, everybody. Great to be back in the dead space. So are we dreaming the embossable dream?
Oh, very good.
Tonight?
Tonight we are. Yes, we are.
Joined by Zeus in his usual the show must go off mode. He's here, though.
Yeah.
We may see him, signs of him later. But good to be back, and wow, you're much more festive than I am.
Well, I wasn't. I had a t-shirt on, and then I went to wash my tidy towels, and I splashed water all over my t-shirt. So I ran into my office, and this happened to be hanging there from one of our Christmas parties. Can you believe it?
Wow.
And so maybe it was one of the 12 Days of Christmas box things that we did. I don't know, but it was in there, and I thought, it's going on. I'm going to dress up.
Boy, it's like, you know, the guy in that space movie that said you never know what is going to transpire to get you home.
That's right. I don't know how that fits, but yes.
You never know what's going to happen here.
That's right. You never do know.
But there's always a shirt hanging on the back of a door somewhere.
That's right. And that's all you need sometimes. And, you know, we do want to just let everybody know that our thoughts and prayers are out to everybody who was in the line or is in the line of any of these crazy thunderstorms that we've been having all around the country, especially here in Wisconsin. Yesterday, our friends up in Menasha and Appleton area. Oh my goodness, we are thinking of you and praying for you and hoping that you guys came through it okay. We know there was a lot of damage up there, but totally avoided the Milwaukee area. I know a lot of you in the group were asking if Tom and I were okay. We're fine. We just had a lot of rain and thunder, but our friends to the north of us, about an hour and a half to the north of us, really got hit hard. So we're thinking of you. And friends in Chicago area got hit, and all across the Midwest. People in Asheville right now are taking cover. It's crazy. It really is. So prayers, thinking of all of you, and hope everybody's doing okay. Well, do you have a word of the day for later, Tom?
I have a threefer.
A threefer. Oh my goodness. Well,
another one of those.
We'll look forward
Everybody
to that.
Just went, oh.
We'll look forward to that because we didn't have much of a word of the day on Thursday last week. So
okay.
It'll be good. And also tonight, I'm going to be doing 2 cards for you. So I'm going to start with the embossing folder, and then we're going to move over to what I consider to be a little bit easier because you don't have to do the embossing part where we just use the stencils. So let's get right into it. Now, this is what I'm going to be using. This is from the Christmas in July card kit, and this is the new Bursting Blossoms 3D embossing folder. And we put this one in the kit mostly because we have some very, very festive Christmassy ones coming out in our September release. But this was one of those that I felt like it could totally look great for a holiday card. But you can also use it for many, many other things. Unlike a poinsettia where you're almost locked into winter and Christmas when it comes to a poinsettia. With this style flower, even though it'll look beautiful for a holiday card, you can use it all year round. And so we're going to use this one tonight, and this is in the new kit. Now this bundle comes with some stencils. So it's got a 4-piece coloring stencil set, 4 layers here. And then somebody was asking in our group, since when do Gina K's dies come put together? Well, they don't. Most of our dies come cut apart, all the ones that coordinate with our stamps. But these are put together because actually you're going to cut these out before you would emboss them in the embossing folder. So it makes it easy. You can just take a piece of white cardstock, cut it all out at once, you know, out of a scrap, just throw it on there, cut it all out at once, cut a bunch of them, and then you can emboss them one at a time in the folder, or 2 at a time in the folder. So you can break these apart, you can wiggle them apart, and you can cut the edges off if you want, but I say, why even bother? It's harder to lose this in one big piece, and you're never going to emboss and then cut it out, because cutting it is going to kind of squash down the embossing. We're going to squash down the embossing a little bit because we're going to die cut with a die, but I'm going to show you how to get around the squashed part and puff it all back up again. So, but keep these together. It's not going to really matter. We're not going to be using them tonight. So we're going to start with a piece of cardstock that measures just a little bit smaller than Master Layouts 8. This is the die from Master Layouts 8 right here, the stitch die, and we're going to make this card a 5x7 card. So I made this just a little bit bigger. Yeah, you're going to see the lines around the outside a little bit, but not too bad, and we're going to cut this out anyway. But I like to do a big piece like this to make sure we can get the whole thing and that we can then cut it out with the Master Layouts 8. Now we could cut Master Layouts 8 out first and then pop this in here, but one of the things that you may find is once you emboss this, you might want to shimmy this die down a little bit and have the flowers closer to the top. And it just gets a little bit difficult, or you might want to have it up further and, you know, it's just a little bit hard to necessarily put the embossing exactly where you want it on a bigger piece of cardstock. So that's already die cut. So if you die cut it afterwards, it's going to be a little bit easier for you to position your die. So we're going to use the intra-cut for this.
Got a question.
Yes.
Let's see. What's the difference between layering stencils and coloring stencils?
Well, layering stencils usually make a full picture with or without an embossing folder. Coloring stencils usually color in stamp designs. And I know I said coloring stencils, but these are really layering stencils, and they layer on top of this embossing folder. So coloring stencils are designed, sometimes they're just big and open, and they just allow you to color in a very detailed flower with just color, where a layering stencil adds all the layers to get all the depth and dimension. All right, so I have my intra-cut set at 2, and I have it at, let's see, I have it just about loose. I turned it loose to 1. And now I'm going to run this through here. And I think I'm going to run it through and then run it back again. Let's do it this way. Let's run it through one more time, just to really get some pressure on it. All right. And now, ooh, that looks good. So I've got that beautiful embossed design. You can see all of that detail in there. You can see it better on the other side, really. But this will all come through when we start to add the layering stencils on top. And you can see all of the beautiful little ridges in the leaves, probably better on the back here, but you can see all of the details in the flowers. That's all going to grab ink when you put the layering stencils on top. Okay. So now I'm going to leave it big like that while we color it, and then we'll go back and we will cut it out with the die cutting machine. So let's go ahead and get a sticky mat. I've got my sticky mat right here. Hello everybody, welcome. It's great to see all of you coming in. I know there's a bunch of people going live tonight that usually don't go live at the same time that I'm live. We kind of all like look at each other's schedules and do different things, but I know schedules change sometimes and people need to do that And then, of course, we've got people hunkering down in different areas, so we appreciate those of you that took the time to be here tonight. All right, so when it comes to coloring stencils, let me get my inkstand, and a big shout out to Brianne Loveland, not only for inventing this inkstand, but also for being here in the chat tonight. Brianne, we love you, and we're grateful for you. I'm going to use light and medium cranberry, and I may even add some dark cranberry into this.
Question from Linda, what is the size of the white cardstock you're embossing?
This is about 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. I made it just a little bit smaller than a 5 by 7. But normally I use like 4.5 by 6 if I'm not making a 5 by 7 card. All right, so I'm going to start with light cranberry, and then I'm going to get medium cranberry out too. Brianne, if you would love link your inkstand for everybody, that would be awesome. Oh, I put this in backwards. There we go. Let's do it the right way. Okay, so I've got my light and my medium here, and then I'll add dark at the end if I need it. I'll just keep it right here. So I am going to push these off to the side though. Now I'm going to start with layer A, and you can see there's an A right there when it hits the reflection. And I am going to just start kind of doing one flower at a time. I'm not going to worry too much because with these layering stencils and embossing folders, they account for the fact that the embossing folder is going to change a little bit in the mold, and so they give you a little extra wiggle room, plus they give you some wiggle room for the fact that it goes around the design, and sometimes it can make the images a little bit off. So I do them one at a time, and then you never have to worry about it. So I'm going to start with some light cranberry here. I'm going to get my light cranberry onto this flower. And then I'm going to go over that with a medium cranberry, and I'm going to use my small brush here with the medium cranberry. The cranberries are so pretty. They're a great Christmas red. Especially when you add the dark in there, it really brings it all together. So I started with the light so I could get the tip of the flower pretty light, and now I've got the medium in here. But then I have an old inkstand here. I'm going to put my dark cranberry in this one. 3 inkstands going all at once. Brianne, aren't you proud of me? And then I'm going to use a detail brush to add a little bit of dark cranberry just around the perimeter of the bottom of these petals. And this is just going to create lots of beautiful separation between the petals. So see how I'm kind of going just around the sides a little bit, like that. All right, now I'm going to just make sure, look how pretty that is. I'm just going to make sure that this lines up well over here on this flower. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to start with the light cranberry. Just getting that mostly in the middle here.
And a question, do you recommend re-embossing after the inking to puff up the design again?
Not after inking. I don't really find that it squashes down the ink. I don't press maybe as hard as you're pressing, if that's happening to you. But I am going to emboss again because I'm going to die cut it. And the die cutting is going to kind of squash my embossing down a little bit. So I am going to go back with a second pass through the die cutting machine. Now I'm going to add my medium cranberry. But I haven't found that just using the blending brush to blend takes the design out or the puffiness of it. But I guess that could certainly happen. And now I'm going to use some cranberry. You can see the dark cranberry going up along those edges where the petals are going to kind of meet. And that's, again, going to create that separation. Okay.
You're on a real Mission Impossible here.
Mission Impossible. Look at how pretty they look already. And now I'm going to just shimmy these into, these are going to be like right along the sides of these flowers. So I'm going to just get those into place. And I can do all three of these little ones at the same time. So I'm going to add some light cranberry. Be careful down here. If you're worried, go ahead and use a Post-it note so you don't go off the edge. And then I'm going to look at that and make sure that's where I want it. Yeah, I think I'm going to move this over just a little bit. And if it's not perfect, don't worry about it. Just shift it and add a little more color. It's totally fine to do that. And then I'm going to use just a little bit of the medium in here. I'm not even re-inking the brush, really. It's just a tiny little spot. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now I'm going to move to layer 2, which is B, right up here at the top. And this is going to fill in some different petals. So again, I'm going to do one layer at a time, like one area at a time, because this also has green in it. I'm actually going to wait on the green, though, I think. I'm going to finish up all the flowers first, and then I'll go back and add the green. Okay, so again, let me move this out of the way. I wasn't planning on these sleeves tonight. I had a t-shirt on. It was glorious. And I'm putting a Post-it note up here just to protect my area. And here we go. We're going to add this color here. If you're worried about the leaf and you don't want to add any green in there, you can always add another Post-it note over that. The way they design these 3D embossing folders for us, they try to give us as many layers as they possibly can without needing the maximum amount of stencils, because, you know, every time you add another layer of stencil, it costs quite a bit. So it's kind of nice to have some of the flowers and the leaves on the same layer. But of course, if you're a wide blender like I am, sometimes that can mess you up a little bit. All right, let's go to the medium cranberry. This still looks like it's pretty good in place. So we'll add that medium in there. I'll be really interested in knowing which color palette tonight you like better. Do you like the cranberries, or are you going to like the blues that I'm going to do?
All right, just a reminder, folks, that we do not have information during a live on what might be coming back in stock when. We just don't have that information. We're not ignoring you. We're just don't have stock information.
Yeah, and it's something our customer service team doesn't have either. They don't know any more than we know. It's been difficult, to say the least, to get certain things right now because, you know, even our stamps and our stencils are made here in the USA, as are a lot of things made here in the USA, but they need raw materials that come from overseas in order to make them here in the USA, like anything else and everything else. So a lot of these container ships are really having to go the long way around. It feels like they're going to Saturn first to get here. It's frustrating. Ooh, look at that, guys. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so now we're going to finish up. This has also got leaves on it, but we're going to finish these last couple of petals with this layer. This is layer C. And then we can go back, if there's any little white lines we want to fill in, we can go back and fill them in. I think I'm going to go right for the dark on this one because there's not much there. And we'll go medium. I love how the medium cranberry adds more of the pink. You know, the cranberries were really designed to give you such a beautiful gradient of color. You've got this really, really pale pink at the top, and then you've got this pink that has a lot of purpley pink in it, and then the dark cranberry, which brings in that little touch of brown. That just makes it so beautiful. Look at how pretty that is. Isn't that gorgeous? And you see where those little white lines are? I don't mind those because in real life, that's what you would see if petals were like separated a little bit and, you know, pulling away from each other, which they do as they get bigger. You get a little bit of that. They don't all have to be touching. Okay. And then this last one. Oh, and I think I was saying about customer service not having that information. So, you know, I'm the one that gets the first notice when something is on its way. So if I don't know, they're definitely not going to know. All I can promise you is we're doing our best to get it here as quickly as possible. And sometimes our orders, even from our U.S. manufacturers, get held up because they're waiting for the raw materials. I think that's where I was trying to go with all of that, which is why sometimes things that even you think, well, that's made here though. Why is it taking so long? It's because they're waiting for something from there. All right, so back to these light cranberries and then medium cranberries. How many of you have the cranberries? And do you use them? And do you use them as much as you want to? Because I find that I tend to gravitate toward the cranberries more during the winter and the holidays than I do in the spring and the summer. And so it's kind of fun to pull these out and get to use them right now. You're right, stencils do make us look like real artists. Absolutely. All right, so I'm going to just turn this to the side here and make sure, yep, that's exactly how it's supposed to look. Okay, so now I'm going to add a little bit of yellow in the center of that one, which is on this very last layer. So I can put my cranberries away. And I'm going to use some marigold for this one. Let me get my brushes out of the way.
Question, which master layouts for the 5x7 cards?
So there's two that you can use. You can use Master Layouts 8 for what I'm going to do tonight. But if you want a frame around it, you can use Master Layouts 20. Okay. So now let's go ahead and pop this right on here. We could actually do all the green too. Might as well. The stencil's on. We might as well. So I'm going to start with the marigold right here in the center. Give that a good... I love that little pop of gold in there. Isn't that pretty? Love that. Yeah, I don't know what it is about the cranberries. They seem to be my winter choice. All right, so I need a blending brush. Maybe I'll use this one. I'll use this one. That'll be good. I'm just grabbing brushes now. I'm going to use the light and medium spruce for these parts. So let me get those set up. Great to see everybody. Oh, I can't wait till you guys get your kit. If you haven't gotten it yet, you're going to have so much fun with this kit. It's just got so much stuff in it that is so fun. Every single piece in this kit I've just been excited about. Like, I just have a lot of ideas for, and I just want to do them all, you know? All right, so this is the light spruce. We're just going to do that big wash of light spruce over everything. I got to protect down here, though. Almost went off the edge there. And then I'm going to use a detail brush with a little bit of medium spruce just to edge right around the tops of these buds. And then we'll get a little more edging in when we do the big leaves. All right, so there we go. We've got those beautiful stems there.
Heidi wants to know, how do you decide which greens to use?
Well, you know, it really depends. If I'm going for a very bright look with like bright tones, then I tend to use things like Jelly Bean or Lucky Clover. But when I'm going for a more muted look, then I really like using the spruces because they're definitely more muted. I also think the spruces are really beautiful for holiday cards because they have that little hint of blue in them. So it kind of brings to mind pine more so than Jelly Bean Green, which when Fresh Asparagus and Grass Green, they all are more yellowy greens. And when you get a yellowy green, they're really fun and they work great with bright colors, but they're, and those greens are great for Christmas cards too. It's just that when you're doing something softer and elegant, I really like the way the spruces look. So that's kind of how I pick. All right, I want to make sure this is completely dry. Alrighty, let's get that in place. And we're going to do these two leaves. So I'm going to do a big wash of spruce here, light spruce, over these leaves. Oops, almost. Maybe I did go over. We'll see. Probably should use a little more over here too. I don't trust myself. So a big wash of the light spruce. And then I'm going to add some detail with the medium spruce. I'm just going to lightly add a little bit of detail underneath. Kind of like some shading down here. And the same over here. Just kind of get that shading going. Kind of on the underside of the leaf. So it kind of looks like the light is hitting on top of those leaves. Okay, I think that looks good. Now let's get our second pair of leaves. Well, these are pretty. Here's our second pair of leaves. And the reason why we broke these leaves out too is if you like doing more than one color of green, you know, you can mix the jelly beans and the fresh asparagus and all of those. You can mix those with the spruces. It doesn't have to all be, let's see here. There we go. It doesn't have to all be one shade of green. You know I'm going to mess that up right there. That looks good. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some of that shading underneath. And just take your time and let that color build up. If it doesn't look like it's going on enough, try not to press harder on the brush, because I almost just did that and that kind of would have ruined things. Kind of missed that a little bit. So let's just move that down a bit. We'll add a little bit more green in here. And a little bit more spruce. There we go. The dark or medium. Okay, that's better. Now I'm going to do this last one. My light is so bad in here because it's so like, it doesn't show any glare or anything, and that makes it really hard to see all the details. When I'm at home working on these, I can see a lot better because I use like a little OT light, and that OT light, I have it just like pressed right down onto the design. Come down here a little bit more.
Question from Darlene, would moonlit fog go with the spruces?
Yeah, it actually would look really nice with the spruces. Moonlit fog is our gray that has that hint of green in it. So yeah, that would be very pretty together. All right, so there we go. We've got our finished design here. And see what that looks like. It's so pretty. I love the spruces. Now I'm going to die cut this using the Master Layouts 8 die. And then we're going to pop the whole thing back into the embossing folder and run it through again. Because when we die cut it, we're going to actually press down a lot of this embossing. And not because we want to. Oh, and remember the other night when I was struggling with Master Layouts 8? And I was like, oh, I'm turning it up tighter and tighter. Maybe my die isn't any good. I was actually turning the machine in the wrong direction, and I was making it looser and looser and looser. So the die is fine. It was user error, which so often in my case it's user error. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out. And I'm going to move that up. You see why I definitely needed this extra area at the top, because I want this to be, I'm going to move it over this way too. That's where I want it to cut. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit here so that you can see it better. There we go. Okay. So I am going to pop some masking magic on here just to tape it down, because I want it where I want it, and I don't want to take any chances of it shifting. And then I'm going to go ahead and run that through. Yeah, I love this stencil. And it's so pretty with the embossing folder. Let's see, did that cut all the way? I think I'll give it one more little cut up here at the top, just to be safe. Okay. Let's get that out of here. Let's see, it cut just fine that time. But I definitely pressed out some of the design, so it's a little bit flatter than it was before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my die cutting machine back to 2D, and I don't need it quite as tight, but I'm going to slip it back in here, and hopefully it'll fit. It should. So if you hold it up to the light, can you see how like you can see when it's out of whack a little bit? Can you see that when it's out of whack? And just find where it lines up. And give yourself a minute. Don't feel like you have to rush this process. Just line it up. I can't have it up in the air when I'm doing it. I'll never get it.
Do dies wear out?
Over time. I mean, it depends like how much you use them. If you really, really use something over and over and over again for years and years and years and years, they might a little bit.
You've been using those master layouts for quite a long time.
Oh, I know. And I use them quite a long time off screen too. feel like there's a better way to feel this. I really don't like rerunning a embossing folder through. I just don't like it, but I feel like I need to do it in this case. So I think it's in the right spot, but let's hope for the best. All right, here we go. Have that just a little tight. There we go. Just to poof it up a little bit. Oh yeah, that looks good. And you can see the back. Now all the poofiness is back into it. So that looks so pretty. Isn't that coloring nice? Just the overall cranberries are so beautiful. All right, so we've got that one done, and you can see as long as you're not going too tight, you're not going to warp your embossing folder. You just don't want to, like, if it won't go through and you're like, I can't push it through, it's too tight. Don't force it. Never force it. Okay. Oh, I guess I do need to cut a little bit more though. So I'm going to cut a Master Layouts 8 plain die here. So that's this die, the plain rectangle from the Master Layouts 8 die set. And I'm going to get a piece of black cardstock and trim that in half, and I'm going to cut it out of a half a sheet of black. All right. So with these, I like to turn them a little bit on an angle because I think when you have big dies like this, it puts less pressure on the rollers, on the cutting mat, on everything. And it just goes through the machine a little bit more easily. Don't you love a die cutting machine where you can just flip the dial and you don't have to think about the sandwich? Love that. I don't know that I could get used to going back to where you have to figure it out every time. I like the idea of, just turn it up a little bit or turn it down a little bit. It's really a nice feature of the Intracut. Okay, so we've got this panel, and these two layers are going to layer together beautifully. And then we're going to put this on a, let's put it on a cranberry card base, because my sample, I used Red Hot and I used a little dark cranberry, but for this card, I think we can go full-blown cranberry cardstock. I think that's just going to bring out all of this beautiful color. So we'll cut that in just a minute. But before we do that, let's cut a greeting. Let's stamp a greeting. In fact, we'll stamp both greetings for both cards that we're going to do tonight. I'm going to get a small piece of white cardstock here, and I'm going to use greetings from the kit from the Festive Bloom stamp set. That's this one here. I'm going to do one in Merry Christmas and one in Happy Holidays. So we'll do that, and we'll cut these out all together so we don't have to worry about the greeting for the second card. You know how you get near the end of the live and it's like, oh, we still got to do the greeting. Come on, Gina. Get this card made. So, not that I'm in a hurry, but I always feel bad if you guys are just here so long and then we're still not done and I still have to do the greeting. Okay, there we go. We're going to stamp both of those. Give it a little Chucky tool action. And then we'll give them a second stamping. I do like to do my greetings one at a time. I feel like I get a better impression when I do it that way. I don't know why. Maybe it's because like by the time I ink up the second stamp, the first stamp is like starting to dry a little bit. And so doing them together like this really does, I mean, doing them one at a time, I always get a better impression. Aw, you guys are so sweet. I'm happy to spend time here with you guys too. Alrighty. Yeah, you guys should have seen me in the bathroom. I nearly had a heart attack. It was like 5 minutes before we were supposed to go live. And I ran into the bathroom to wash my tidy towels because I forgot how much ink I got on those tidy towels during our last live when I made those 2 festive bloom cards with all of that red and all of that turquoise ink. And the water just splashed all over my shirt. And I'm like, oh no. It really looked bad. But luckily I had a shirt. I had a backup shirt. All right, so I'm going to get the dies from here, and then we're also going to die cut a postage stamp, one of those first class frames from the kit too for our second card. Might as well do some of this die cutting all together. Let's get the Misty out of the way and the stamp set out of the way. Okay, so we're going to cut these greetings out first. Where'd I put them? Tom, where'd I put them? Oh, here they are. And remember when I said always clean your dies out because next time you go live, the pieces are going to be stuck in there, but I never take my own advice. So there we go. Merry Christmas. So Tom, while I'm doing all of this just plain old die cutting, would you like to do your word of the day or your threefer?
My threefer.
Oh my gosh. I'm ready. Buckle up, everybody.
All right, I guess it's time for word of the day.
Oh, hey, hooray, let's laugh it up. Don't delay. Word of the day, it's here to stay.
Okay. As mentioned, we got a threefer today. 3 for the price of none. I don't know why. You just get on you get on a run, you know. Nothing you can do. Okay, so a threefer is, for those of you who don't know by now, that's where we do a word of the day. Word of the day is our little bit of nonsense here to distract from what's really important. But we use the same basic root of the word and anyway. So, Gina, you've come up with words of the day, right?
I have.
And, you know, some of them hit like lightning and some of them kind of you have to wait and you think about it and you get, you know. And so if sometimes if you do that and you have to wait and it takes a while for it to kind of solidify and get the idea, then you have what's called a pun in the oven. A pun in the oven. Okay, and then sometimes there's a word of the day and you can't shake it. You're thinking about it. It just, you know, it doesn't seem to want to go away like an earworm for a song, you know. It just sticks with you. And that, of course, is called, those are called sticky puns. And then when you overdo the word of the day, kind of close to what we're doing now, some people might feel as if it becomes a, whoops, not a sticky puns, a punishment. Punishment. So pun is the root word of the day for the threefer. Puns. Pun intended. Pun intended. Does that mean a pun that's not intended? An unintended pun?
Unintended.
Or does that mean the pun wasn't? I'm going back.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
To the dead space. It's been great, but I gotta go.
Oh my gosh. those were good. Those were funny.
Are you missing last Thursday?
No, it was quiet. It was too dead in the dead space. There's like a level of dead that's just too dead in the dead space. I lost my entire card. Oh, here it is. Okay. So now we're going to assemble this card. We're going to put these two panels together. Let me get my tape runner. We have Zeus in the background, yeah. I feel like every time I'm live is when I run out of tape. But it's a good thing I've got some backup adhesive dot runners. So that's good. They only take a second to put in. There we go. Okay, and then I like to put a little bit in the middle here when it comes to these embossing folders because sometimes they can be a little bit warpy on your cardstock. All right, I'm going to have to stand on my toes so I can really get a good view of this. There we go. Okay, now we've got that beautiful panel there. Let's make our cranberry card base. So I'm going to make a 5x7 card. So I've got my piece of cranberry here, and I'm going to cut it down to 10 inches. 10 inches by 7 inches. That's the size I need for my 5x7 card. And then I'm going to score that at the 5-inch mark. So 10x7 scored at 5 makes it 5x7. Flip that around and okay, there we go. And again, I'm sure you saw the bent up corner on that piece and the uneven cut because I take all the uneven ones, so you don't have to. It's my role in life is to deal with uneven cardstock and make it work. All right, and then we'll go ahead and adhere these two panels together. Okay, and then, oh, I love that cranberry. Do you guys love that cranberry? See, I knew what I was doing. My shirt has cranberry in it. I did that all on purpose. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? And then for this one, we'll put the Merry Christmas. We're just going to pop it right in here like that. And we'll do that with some foam squares. Sticky puns. Get my little tweezers. I'm shedding. Guys, I'm shedding.
Wearing my lucky punderwear today.
Oh, no. Your lucky punderwear. Your words of the day go over very well. I've had a few that went over okay, but yours are very funny. I like the ones that build upon itself. I like that. It's fun. Alrighty. And then we're going to go ahead and add this right here. Like that. And then we're going to add just a few. That's so nice, isn't it? We're going to add a few little embellishments. Now we've got these embellishments here that have a little glimmer of red in them. I lost my glue. Here it is. My glue. So let's put one dot of glue here. And we'll put one dot of glue here. Maybe one down here. We're going to do 5. Come here and here. So we're kind of like just kind of going around that way. I think that looks good. Okay, So we've got these that have this little hint of red in them, and I think they're going to be so pretty. We got to find some really tinies. Here's a tiny one that has a hint of red. And then we'll do another medium-sized one. That one's weird. Oh, no, it isn't. And then we'll find one more tiny. There's a tiny. If that one looks weird, I'm going to pull this one off. I don't like it. Put a different one in there. Let's see. Kind of took the glue with it. Do one more. This one's kind of good. Okay. So there you can kind of see the little bit of red shine in it, but it's still sparkly. So there we go. So that is my first card, and that is stenciled with 3D embossing. You certainly get all those details between the buds. You get all the little details in the stamen of that flower. So lots of beautiful detail comes when you use the 3D embossing folder. Let me show you the same card that I made in reds. So this used Red Hot and Cranberry. So you can see the difference between going with the dark cranberry is consistent in both of these cards, but in this one I used the light and medium cranberries, and here I used Sun-Kissed Coral and Red Hot and dark cranberry. So it gave me a more red feel, and this gives me that deep cranberry feel. And this one I just used gold embellishments. But I do like these. I think the embellishments are like perfect. They have a cranberry look to them when they're not shining silver. So there are two versions of this card using the 3D embossing folder. Now, the second card I'm going to make is going to be a lot easier. It'll be very simple to make because we don't have to worry about lining up these stencils on an embossing folder, which, you know, takes a little bit of time. You're kind of taking your time and you're positioning everything, making sure that it's lined up properly. And so that does take a little bit of extra. But these these stencils, rather, work so beautifully by themselves, and it gives you, like I said, a more modern look. Now, one thing about lining these up, when you line them up and you hold them up to the light, they all line up pretty nicely. But sometimes you still have to shift things just a tiny bit, and it's easy because you're not trying to shift it over an embossing folder image. So I'm going to use this same sticky mat here, but this time I've cut out one of the first class frames. This also comes in the kit, the first class frame. It's a big postage die, and I cut one out while Tom was doing his words of the day, in case you missed it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some Masking Magic strips. Now these are the 1/2-inch Masking Magic strips. You can also use 1/4-inch Masking Magic strips if you prefer. I'm not worried about getting it perfect on here, so if you have a little trouble seeing through it, don't worry about it. It may help you to line this up on the sticky mat right along a line. This way you know that it's straight. Sometimes that just helps your eye a little bit when you're trying to do the strips. But again, I'm looking more side to side to see if I kind of get the same amount of arch on either side. We're going to go so light with our ink blending, it's not going to matter that much, but it is nice to have a little white border going around the postage. I really like that. I would rather have that than just have the ink blending going all the way to the edge. And this is the way to prevent that. But also, it doesn't make sense to not have a little bit of background color on here as well, because then it would just look like your flowers kind of cut off weird, and you don't want that look. You don't want it to look like your flowers cut off weird. So what we're going to do to start is we're going to take some sea glass ink and a blending brush, and we're going to do a light wash of sea glass, mostly around the perimeter. All right, so we're going to kind of like go around the perimeter like this, just to create separation from the white border around the outside and the inside of this postage stamp. Now, it looks like a lot of sea glass ink, but that's mostly on the Masking Magic. The bristles are really just kind of trickling over the edge here and creating that color, that separation. And you'll be able to see that once we pull all this off. But we're not pulling it off until we're completely done our stenciling. Okay. So now, to line up your stencils, one trick you can use is you can make the right angle out of some tape if you want. So once you get your first stencil where you want it, you can kind of look to see how the stencils all go together. I'm looking up at the light here. I want to make sure that I have them all facing the same way, and I do. So they look pretty good. I can see what I want to be on my card, like that. So I know that I want this whole flower, and I can even look here. I want this whole flower to be on, and then this one can get cut off to the side. I'm fine with that. But before I commit, I want to put layer B on there and make sure that this petal isn't going off onto the Masking Magic. And it's not, so that looks pretty good. Okay. Now, if you want, you can do like a little right angle thing. See where the top of this stencil is? You can put a piece of pixie tape or washi tape and make a right angle here, right along the edge of the stencil. And that will help you, because then you can just pop each stencil into that same right angle. And let me show you what I mean. You know what? It probably would have been better if I did this in a darker color tape. And I think I'm going to do that just so that I can be a little bit more clear. Let me see if I have any washi tape. I must have washi tape somewhere. I know I do. It's just a matter of where. So just give me a second to find some. Here's some. I'll use this washi tape. Okay. So I'm going to put that right along the edge of that pixie tape right there where that one was. Okay. And then I'll put that stencil right up there. And then I'll put another piece of washi tape right along. Let's get that in the right spot. That's where I want it. Now again, I'm going to check that layer 2 to make sure that this petal isn't going to go over the edge. And it's not. It looks pretty good. This will just guide me into not going past this edge. Even if the stencil isn't perfect, it'll kind of keep me in that right angle space there. And that, you know, I can just kind of pop it in there and know that I'm pretty close. And let's say I wanted a completely different angle. Like, let's say I really wanted both of these flowers in here. I could do the same thing with washi tape, because it's a lot harder to see when it's on an angle like this. But if I put washi tape here and here, then I would always know the position of my stencil. So that might help some of you a little bit. We'll see. Okay, so now I'm going to go with Turquoise Sea for my main color, and then Tranquil Teal for my second color. I'll put the Tranquil Teal over on this side. just to make it a little bit more difficult. I like it when it's more difficult. All right, so we're going to start with the Turquoise Sea, and we're going to just do a light wash of Turquoise Sea, and I'm going to fade up to almost nothingness, like that. And then a little bit of Turquoise Sea over here. And I'm going to do some Turquoise Sea down here. And Turquoise Sea over here. All right, now I'm going to get some Tranquil Teal on this brush. I don't like this brush. I don't like that brush. There we go. Let me get some... I have to clean it. I'm going to get a little bit of Tranquil Teal over here. I'm just rubbing some of it off on my stencil, and then I'm going to add some darker shading in here. It's even more important to get that shading when you're not using the embossing folder, because you don't really have the natural bumps and dips to kind of separate out the petals. So you really need to separate everything out using your color. So that's why I'm kind of going up the petal and then down and then up again, just to really create separation between whatever's going to be next to it. I hope that makes sense. Again, I like to start just on the plastic somewhere, and then we're going to add that beautiful teal. You can pick it up off the plastic too. There's not much here. This is mostly on the Masking Magic. That's on Masking Magic. Okay, so we've got our first layer there. Okay. Now we're going to do our second layer, layer B. And again, I'm going to just pop it right into that little right angle there. And if it's not perfect, because not all the stencils are always cut exact, there we go. But I know the angle that I want that at. Okay, so again with some Turquoise Sea. It's really not that the stencils don't line up, it's just that sometimes the top can be just a hair shorter than a different layer, and so you really just want to make sure that it's in the right spot on the flower. But this just tells you the angle that the stencil is at, this little guide here, which really makes a difference if you're like moving it around in weird ways. All right, so back to my Tranquil Teal. I'm gonna get that coming in up the side. Now that's going to create such beautiful dimension. And I really like the way this particular stencil set looks without the embossing folder too. I mean, of course I love it with the embossing folder, but it looks, my washi tape's not sticking there very well. Oop, wrong one. It's just modern and clean. It's so fun. I'm going to move my ink pad to a better spot. But now we can see what that looks like. See how those petals are all separated because of that darker teal in there? Really, especially where they're touching, you can actually see the line between them. Okay, so now we'll get this one in there. Beautiful. Alrighty. So we'll start with turquoise. And I know I have some green spot right here, so I'm being a little bit careful. But again, you can always, tape that off with a Post-it note so you don't have to worry about it. But now we're going to get all this teal in here. I love that. You guys know I love the teals, right? Anything turquoise. See how pretty that is? Isn't that cool? All right, I'm going to do this one next. I don't think there's anything there. I think that's all masking magic, but you know, my brain won't let me not do it. So I had to do a little. All right, let's just get these lined up right here.
Question from the dead space.
Yes, dead space.
So no one else to blame. Do you ever make, when you make a card that is like stunning?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you think, no, I can't send this to someone?
No.
Especially to someone who's not going to... is there such a thing as homemade card worthiness?
Oh, for sure there is. And you can ask anybody in the chat and they will tell you that people who know the time that it took you to make a certain card are the people that you're going to send the most intricate, watercolored, fancy coloring cards to. And if it's somebody that is just going to look at it and say, oh, that's really nice, and then a week later throw it in the trash, they're not card worthy, so they get the easier designs.
Oh, and they might even get a Hallmark or a buzzer, right?
A buzzer, yeah. All right, so there's our buds, and you see how by doing that little technique of darkening along the edges, you actually see the separate petals. I'm sure everybody in the chat is like, yes, absolutely. Bursting Blossoms is not a true holiday flower, but it is a flower that can be used for the holidays. I think the only really true holiday flower, I mean, there's a few out there, but I think people associate mostly poinsettias and maybe Christmas lilies and things like that. But this is just a more generic flower that I think because of the shape of the petals, it felt very festive to me. And I order our embossing folders. They're all custom made for us, so they're not available anywhere else. It's our friends at Memory Box make custom designs for Gina K Designs. And we talk a lot about what I'm looking for each season, and I order usually 10 different designs. I order like thousands of them at a time. They all come in this big container. And then I decide which ones are going to be for the holidays and which ones are going to be for a kit and which ones are going to be for independent releases and stuff. It's really fun. It's a fun part of my job. I like it a lot. Okay, so I need my greens again, and now we're going to add the stems. And I'm going to do the stems first. I don't care what order. This is D. I don't care. I'm just going to do this right away because I want to see the stems before I place the leaves.
Some of your viewers want to know what a buzzer is.
Oh my gosh. So, should I tell the story?
Tell the story.
Okay, so my dad, maybe some of you remember this, but back in the good old days, Hallmark used to have a catchphrase that said, when you care to send the very best, right? Wasn't that the catchphrase?
When you care enough to send the very best.
When you care enough to send the very best, you send a Hallmark. So my mom, it was Christmas, and my mom bought my dad a card, but when she bought the card for him, she I don't know what she was thinking, but she didn't look very closely at what she bought him. and she ended up buying him a birthday card. And it wasn't a Hallmark. The brand on the back was a Buzza. And my dad was a comedian, he was a stand-up comedian. He was so funny. And he just, he had a field day with the Buzza. And he was like, not only does your mother not care enough to send the very best, but she sent me a Buzza, not a Hallmark. A birthday card on Christmas, and it was a Buzza. We laughed. So a Buzza is a brand name, probably not in business anymore, but definitely was a brand name of a greeting card company. They were married a very long time, so they loved each other, but there were times where they didn't care enough to send the very best. Oh my goodness. I'm going to bring some of that color in a little bit. There we go. Okay. And now we'll finish it up with the final 2 leaves. Let me move this out of the way. Good stuff. They were the good old days, Tom, where you could just laugh about stuff. Nobody was triggered. It was just funny. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, a lot of stories like that with those two.
Yep. In fact, for my dad, he always hoped for stuff like that because then he could make it a bit.
Yeah.
Right? Then it would be extra funny. So you can see I'm adding this medium spruce along the sides of these leaves just to add that depth in here.
remember they were going to do a show and he was standing at the edge of the yard, the driveway, and he said, "Ruth, pull the car out." And because I think she had just pulled it in or something like that, and she was driving. And she said, "Okay." And she pulled the car out and just drove off.
She left, yeah. He was standing there with his wardrobe bag, his suit bag, and watched her drive away.
I guess about a minute later she came.
She came back. I forgot you. Always a good story. All right, so I added a little marigold to the center of that one. And there we go. Now, I am going to add, before I take these stencils off, I'm going to add a little spatter, but not real spatter. Tonight, I'm going to use the Seasonal Patterns and Phrases stamp set, and I'm going to use this spatter stamp. And I'm going to do it freehand, so everybody take a deep breath with me. I'm just going to take my chances here.
Oh, it looks like they're doing research. Joan said, "Just look, the Buzza Cardoza cards are available on Etsy."
There we go.
Buzza! The Buzza lives on.
The Buzza. All right, so we're going to add some spatter to this. It's not real spatter. It's fakey spatter, but we're going to add some spatter right here. Like that. Then we're going to turn the stamp, and we're going to add some spatter up in here. Like that. Just a little spatter down the card. I think that looks good. We'll stop right there. I'm not adding any more because I want to, but I know I'm going to ruin it if I add any more. So I'm going to just stop. I'm going to prevent myself from doing it. Okay, now we're going to pull all this mess off of here. And you can see now that area underneath where I did that light sea glass that really makes that white border pop, and nothing is extending outside of the border, right? So that's what makes it look more like a postage stamp. I used the big spatter stamp. I think I used it on my last video, the snowy background, and they both work great. The snowy background is more of a background stamp, so it'll cover the whole back of the card, where this spatter stamp that's in the seasonal patterns and phrases allows you to really be very precise about where you add the spatter. So there we go. All right, now we want to make this look more like a postage stamp. So we're going to put the word postage here, and we're going to put 5 cents above it. So I'm going to use from the kit this Postage Plus stamp set. I'm going to add the word postage here and then 5 cents above it. Now, I'm not taking any chances with this because it took too much time, and you can see the difference in kind of, see how you see all the pretty details, the strokes of the flower here. You can see that, right? And all the strokes and the leaves. You don't get any of that when you just use the stencil. This feels like a more modern version of this. This feels more detailed, like the artist put time into it. This feels a little bit more modern and abstract, but still both very pretty, right? Just different. Okay, so I'm going to put this into my MISTI here, and then I'm going to add the word postage down here at the bottom. I like the word postage. I like the font, and I think it just looks cool. It has a vintage feel to it. So you know me, I don't trust my, that this word is going to look straight when it stamps. So I just always take the back sheet off of the stamp set, and then I pick up the stamp, and then I lay that clear acetate sheet down where I'm going to stamp it so I can test stamp it. Okay. And then we'll just take a peek at that and see how that looks. I think that looks good. That looks good to me. So I'm going to pull this up, and then I'm going to clean it, because if I put my fingers on that and ruin my card, I'm going to be very sad with myself. So now I feel good about this. So we'll go ahead and stamp that. And we're just going to use a light touch. Just finger light over it. There, that looks good. See that? It's just enough. Just enough. Yeah, stamping on the acetate it's like my my little anxiety remover, because you know you're going to stamp it, but it's so hard to see if it's necessarily straight as a clear stamp through. So I want this to look more vintage, and I like this 5 cents here. I think this is a very vintage looking stamp. And they stick to you sometimes. Okay, so we'll see how this looks.
5 cents is quite vintage.
Quite vintage, yeah. I was even thinking about how we used to have dimes for phone calls. That looks straight to me. I feel good about it. Let's clean it and stamp it. I love that little pop of yellow in there too. Okay, 5 cents. Just a light touch. There we go. So now it has that postage feel, that vintage feel, that little spatter in there. Gives it a little something, something. Okay. Now we're going to put this on a Christmas pine background, because Christmas pine is the perfect green for our spruces. There we go. See how that looks. So I'm going to get a piece of Christmas pine, please, do I have some? I do. In fact, I have a cut one. Yay, I have a cut one. Okay. I don't know what year this was cut. It's been sitting here for a while. But I think, and I'm not even going to put any black behind here. Penny candy. Yeah, I remember penny candy. Penny candy, 5 cents. I remember penny gum machines. I remember that. Yeah, this one's not cut very well, but it's all right. I'll just trim it and make it work. No problem. Okay, so we'll just trim this a little bit off of here. See if that looks good. If not, I can always cut a new one. But I think that's going to look great. Look at that. That is the color. That's the perfect color. Also, I am going to trim the bottom of this because that's uneven too. Why not? Just let's not worry about it. Let's just trim it, and if it's A1.875 instead of A2, it'll be fine. That looks good. I like that. Okay, so we're going to pop this onto that Christmas pine cardstock. There we go. Don't you love that die? Oh, I love that die. And then we're going to lay this Happy Holidays right here. I'll put it right there. And then we're going to add, well, you know what? I want to add a little sparkle, but I don't want to add sparkle that's like has a color. So we'll just use our crystal clear sequins. So this way, it's not super obvious that there's like sequins all over it, but when the card turns in the light, you get this sparkle. For the holidays, I love a little sparkle. And Brianne, thank you for linking everything. I see you working so hard. Appreciate you. All right. We're almost done with this one. And then we're going to have to decide. We're going to give away a gift card tonight, too. And you don't have to spend it tonight. You can save it for the next release. You can save it for when you just need a little something. But we're going to do that. And the way you enter to win is just by leaving a comment in the chat. If you're new here, that's easy, right? Tell us where you're from. Tell us you're new. Just say I'm new. You'll get a lot of welcomes because our chat is so friendly. All right, so we're going to just put a couple little crystal clear sequins here. I'll just do 3 just for the zing. And it sounds like somebody's cutting the grass. Yet it feels like it's 11 o'clock at night. All right, and you'll see when I turn this how it gives you that little sparkle, just that little bit of something. So that is the second card. Here's the cranberry one. And which one do you guys like better? Also, I'll throw in this red one. Maybe you like the red one better. I don't know. Let me zoom out. There's so many. So I don't know which one you like better. Hard to tell. But these two use the embossing folder, and this one, no embossing folder necessary. Just a ultra modern version of this beautiful embossed bursting blossoms look.
Wow.
What do you think, Tom? Do you have a favorite?
I can't do that.
You can.
I can't do that. I am very much drawn to the texture in the middle one.
In this one, in the cranberry?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people said cranberry. A lot of people, well, Yeah, some people like the blue though. There's my blue
I
girlies.
love the blue.
You know, and then cranberry is always such a classic. Just, you know, just a beautiful color.
Yes.
And then red is so Christmas classic. Red just makes any flower feel like Christmas. So you can't go wrong with this. You really can't. And once again, this is all part of our card kit. And if you're new here, we have a Christmas in July card kit. It's got all of these different things in it, plus this free embossing folder gift that made these tonight. 2 big 6x8 stamp sets, 2 big 6x8 die sets, that first class frame die, and then this postage set as well that we were able to add those postage elements. So it's a great kit. I'm having a lot of fun with it. All right, Tom, we have to give away a gift card. But before we do, if you're new here, or even if you're not new here, we would love it if you'd give the video a thumbs up. But if you're new, or just check to see if you're subscribed. If you're not, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and then hit all notifications so you never miss another video. And if you're not a member of our Facebook group, we'd love to have you over there. It's called Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends. We have 51,000 members, and we're all sharing beautiful projects featuring our new kit, our new Illustrator stamp sets, and all of our products from the past. So you can always find some beautiful samples for whatever Gina K Designs product you have in your stash. And then a big shout out to Brianne Loveland. Brianne, once again, thank you so much for linking everything for everyone tonight. But if you missed any of Brianne's links, you can find everything that I used in tonight's video on our website at ginakdesigns.com. All right, Tom, let's pick a winner for a $15 gift card. We're going to give you a gift card, and again, you can save this and just use it whenever you want.
All right, drum roll. Here we go. Tonight's winner is Beth Bettes. Bettes.
Yay,
Beth!
Beth! Yay! Congratulations, Beth. You are our winner. And all you have to do is send your name and email address to info@ginakdesigns.com, and our customer service team will get a gift card sent right to your email. Now, Tom and I will not be here on Thursday this week. We have a very special guest that agreed last night to do a video for us. And she's got a great video. And guess what? It features this embossing folder. Whole other idea for you. Beautiful. I've seen the projects. They're fantastic. So I hope you will join us on Thursday at noon Central Time for our special surprise guest. I'm going to be out in Ohio teaching a free class on the Simon Says Stamp YouTube channel on Friday. So if you are interested in stopping by, you can head over to the Simon Says Stamp YouTube channel. That video is going to be posted soon, and you can set a reminder, and you can come and take a free class. You can use products that you have in your stash, and I know the kit that they sold for the class has sold out, but I think they still have some of the parts. So if there's certain parts of the kit that you like, you can definitely jump in and grab some of that, or just use similar products that you have in your stash, and you can make the cards along with Heidi and I can't wait to see her. It's been a while, so I'm going out a little bit early so I can stay with her and have some girl time too. So guys, this was so much fun tonight. I appreciate you all being here every week with us. You mean the world to us. Tom and I will be back next Tuesday with another Stampin' Chat Live, so stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, everybody, wherever you are in crazy weather, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you all so very much, and we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.